Good good morning or good afternoon, subscribers. It's welcome to episode 2 of the Palabook Club with Oliver Damien here in Sydney. It's around 12:30 p.m. and Janice in Bali. What time is it there now?
It's 9:30 a.m. here in Bali.
And it's Happy New Year there. Happy Nyepi.
Yes, Happy Nyepi. It's the Bali New Year today. So no one is allowed out on the streets. All of the businesses are closed. Yeah, it's called Quiet Day. It's a
I
really
love it.
interesting experience.
Yeah, I've been there before. I love it. And it's so highly symbolic. I think the night before they build these huge paper gods and then they burn them and then the following day everything's quiet and I was there and I was in a silent retreat. It was so amazing, like the whole island went quiet, even dogs don't bark. It's so freaky.
Yeah,
It's
you're
amazing.
right. I haven't heard any dogs barking.
So they know, even the animals know what's going on. It's amazing.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's cool. Last night we went to the parade, and today I'm just gonna stay at home, read by the pool. Yeah, I feel really blessed to get this experience.
Which is so amazing because we're now doing chapter 1 of The Art of Money by Bari Tessler, and it's about healing money shame, and it's interesting. I want to burn all the shame I have regarding money, just let it
Yeah,
go.
seriously.
Or the demons in in the Nyepi in the Nyepi.
Yeah, this was
um
a really good chapter.
yeah, so maybe you could start by saying overall what's your overall reaction to the chapter before we dig deeper into the details.
Yeah, there was so much good stuff. Let's see, a couple things. First of all, sort of um, embracing and recognizing shame is,
uh,
something that I think I'm really, really uncomfortable with, and that a lot of people are,
mm,
for obvious reasons. Um, but this week I happen to also be doing a self-growth challenge with a coach friend of mine, and one of the exercises was for us to shame ourselves and for us to write a page about something that we're really ashamed of. And I
yeah.
found that after I did that, I actually released a lot of it.
Mm,
And now we're talking about money shame. And so because of my experience last week with that exercise, I'm really ready to do this.
wow, cool.
Yeah, and I really liked what she said about tough love and how
Hmm.
that's not really helpful. And yeah, I feel ready to do more work around this. I enjoyed this chapter a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah, with me it's the same. Like it's interesting that like I was raised by my grandparents, and we lived in a relatively poor area, but we were relatively better off than the other poor people. So it was kind of interesting situation, right?
Yeah, right.
And then and then I was lucky enough to go to a Catholic school, and then I went to one of the top Jesuit universities in the Philippines, where all the very rich people study, and it was quite amazing to connect to them, like and to realize that I have, oh, there's something. It's both that I discovered that I had some unconscious attitude towards money and rich people, but at the same time, by being friends with them, I realized they're people as well. It's like it's an interesting. It's one of those things. It's like money. It's one of those things I think people rarely really take a good look at. Like when my guess is when people work with money issues, they go straight to the techniques, right? How do I budget? How do I do that? It's more of the technique, not really looking at this foundation. Is there shame about the thing? Because it can go both ways. There's shame in not having it, and there's shame in having it, which she discussed in this chapter, which was interesting as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, nothing really can change, until we address these things. which is why I really liked what she said about, no amount of budgeting is going to help you, get past your shame, and no amount of tough love or discipline is going to help you heal these things either. And it's cool that this is the first aspect that we're working on, and I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, why don't you plunge ahead, and I'll go after you. So if you could start highlighting particular things that you like about the chapter.
All right. Well, what I just said about shame, I think is really integral. And I think that we're going to be doing some actual exercises in the next chapter around shame and, around your money story. And it's definitely not, something that I'm, I guess, excited about, but I'm looking forward to releasing it. I was curious. She talked about how money shame shows up, for each person individually.
Yeah.
And that was something that I sat with and, made a list. And so I was curious, if you had resonated with that. I wrote that money shame shows up for me with sort of a light feeling in my head when I'm about to make a large purchase. Sort of like a fogginess around me when I'm in the middle of making a decision about money.
Yeah.
Freezing or like completely putting it off to the point, where I'll sometimes wait until the very last minute to make a purchase or make a decision, or, I'll rely on someone else really, really pushing me before I'll do it. My trip here to Bali is a perfect example. I knew for months that I had to come here at a certain time. And it wasn't until I actually sat down with a friend and we bought the tickets together that I finally did it, because I was just so froze over the whole thing. And it wasn't even expensive. It was just, I don't know, I kept putting it off. And I do that with bills as well. I don't know what that's fully about. Even if it's not a large bill, I will completely just put it off. It's really self-destructive, actually. And self-criticism as well is another way that money shame shows up for me. Somehow, sort of feeling like if you berate yourself, it's somehow going to help you make better decisions. And just as I said that, I realized a passage that I had highlighted, one of the stories that she told about someone she was working with. The woman who had lost her home. That story was sad, and I highlighted berating herself for not being savvier about money was an old ingrained pattern that felt helpful but actually kept her stuck. And I totally do that. That really resonated with me. Yep.
Yeah, I have something a bit similar in a way that I used to just joke about it, like I don't really worry about money until I have to. And then so in the past I've been fortunate enough that since after university I've always managed to work and find good income, and I don't really budget. And what I do is just I know I'm getting a salary, I can cover the rent, and if there's extra I put it in the credit card and I'm gonna pay it off. And so I just go through these cycles, and then I'll go into big debt, and then I'll pull my finger out and really budget because I want to pay it off, and then I pay it off, and then I go into debt again. There's really a bit of being unconscious about it.
Well, it sounds like you're pretty smart, actually. A lot of people don't, put their leftover money on their credit cards after. That's very responsible.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I don't. The attitude is it's like there's this thing that I don't want to be a budgeter. There's like this aversion to budgeting, which shouldn't be. It's just another skill. It's just another activity. It's another practice. So I shouldn't. it shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
so you're not actually really that conscious about what you're doing, is maybe what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm just feeling my way through it. It's quite a very feminine approach to budgeting, whereas I could apply the masculine approach just as equally good. I mean, it's a mixture of both because I'm good in sort of feeling my way to what's the next thing and into where to spend the next amount of money. So like I invested heavily in my law degree and that paid off. And now I have this gut feel about design and I have a feeling it will pay off eventually. So I have that, but I think for me to really make it smooth sailing is to complement that female intuition with the masculine precision of knowing exactly where I am. So I think I have an uh, irrational fear that by engaging my masculine in budgeting, that I will kill off the intuition of the feminine, but that doesn't have to be the case. It's not an either or scenario. The two can work together.
Yeah, I actually think that I'll feel really strong and empowered once I learn how to tackle some of these things a little bit more.
Yeah.
I highlighted so many things.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. While it's often tempting to stuff down the unpleasant feeling of money shame, it is far more helpful to recognize it when it arises and call it by its name, no matter how huge or small it feels. By noticing, naming, and honoring even this challenging emotion, we crack a doorway into other gentler, more reassuring states of mind. Yeah. I was hoping when I first got this book that she was going to dive more quickly into sort of the practical day-to-day aspects about budgeting and I don't know. I thought maybe there'd be some affirmations, maybe some guided
Solution.
meditation.
You want the solution straight away.
Yeah. But I love the way that she writes and her style. Like we were saying last week, you can totally tell that she, is sort of speaking to people that sort of probably have, slight anxiety around money. And even though, I haven't gotten to the part in the book where she starts to talk about the nuts and bolts, I feel really at ease just taking it slow and doing it one step at a time.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of hope. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's it's allowed me to trust the process a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think it's good the way she started it because really how we see the world affects how we act in the world, right? So if I see scarcity around me, then most likely I will be acting from that belief. And then the more I focus on the scarcity, the more it becomes big, really. So it's quite funny that how this. So if you feel shame about if I feel shame about money, then when it comes my way, then I may feel I'm not entitled to it because I have this shame about it, or I could be quite stiff about it because I'm panicky that there's not enough to go on, and I make decisions out of panic instead of making clear decisions. Like a good friend of mine, he's one of the wealthiest persons I know personally, and he talks about to him it's a game, and he's made a huge fortune, lost a lot, and now he's made it again. But to him, it's just like chess. It's just like looking at it at the situation and then making the best moves given the pieces that you have. And I think it's a healthy attitude. And he told me that the reason most people don't succeed in business is that they become too attached to their idea that they can't walk away from it if it's not working. But to him, he can just see it straight, and then if it's not working, just walk away. You may have lost something, but that's fine, and do another thing. But he said with some of his friends, they just keep pouring more money until the whole thing collapses in their own financial. So attitude. What I'm saying is attitude is really key in this, I think, and I'm glad that it's the first thing we're addressing.
Yeah, and having a little bit of fun with it as well,
Yeah.
which is something, it was one of my goals when I started thinking about doing work around my relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I told myself is that I want to eventually get to the place where I'm actually having fun with this,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I had a brief period of that a couple years ago, but it was when I had a lot of money coming in and a lot of abundance,
Yeah.
and that was really the only time I had fun with it. But yeah, I'd like
Yeah.
to see it as a game again, and enjoy it, because I've just noticed how much my stress and tightness around money bleeds into every aspect of my life.
True. Yeah.
And I'm actually a really fun, happy person generally, and so I want to start feeling that way about money again.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we're one person. We should be the same all throughout our lives. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly.
is there any more? And so, if you just finish highlighting the things you've highlighted, and then I'll go and switch to mine and see how.
Yeah. Well, I think I really did like the Brene Brown quote.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was really lovely. I'll read it.
yeah.
Shame, she says, shame needs three things to grow exponentially in our lives: secrecy, silence, and judgment.
Yeah.
And I really love how she ties that into um, to our relationship with money. And it
Mm-hmm.
made me think about what we were saying last week about um, the similarities between the relationship we have with our sexuality
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
So I really loved that. And also, like I said, what she mentions about gentleness. Um, when I first read this chapter a couple weeks ago, that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I have really used that over the past couple weeks as I've been um, sort of struggling and working out a lot of things over here in Bali. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I've caught myself a couple times being really hard on myself or getting too stressed or criticizing, and catching myself in the moment and turning it around has um, really helped a lot.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I've been a lot happier, I think, since I started reading this book.
Cool. Let me see if I look at my highlights and
Great,
remind
great.
myself. Let me just switch there. Okay. Do you see it? So,
Yes, I do.
let me just see. Oh yeah, that's a Brene Brown. My highlights didn't carry over here because I actually used my phone when I was on the train, so they haven't synchronized. But let me just see if I can remember without the actual physical highlight.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah, this is a key for me. Is in the absence of this much needed education, we project like crazy onto money. We conflate it with our identity, our sense of worth, our definitions of success and maturity, beliefs inherited from our community, lineage, culture, spiritual aspiration, and on and on. Yeah, so without being conscious about my relationship with money, it becomes crazy. Like there was a point that I got roped into this idea that at a certain age I don't own a property, especially here in Sydney. It's quite a big thing to own property. It's like a
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it's like if you haven't done it, you haven't done. It's like a rites of passage, you know. So so I finally did it when I was working as a lawyer, and I said, okay, I'll take the box, and I was sitting in my nice apartment, and I was thinking, okay, now what? It's just
Yeah,
like,
that's so true. So true.
yeah, so it's quite interesting how it's complex in a way that on one hand I don't want to be unconscious about it, but on the other hand I don't want to put too much focus my identity on it, right? So it's a bit like it is a relationship. Like in any relationship, I should be in touch with my desire and as well as be aware of the boundaries. So I should
Yeah.
have my desire for money, but then I should set a boundary that I shouldn't cross that and be gobbled with it. Like I'm enjoying the show called Billions and how they get caught up, like the hedge fund people, they get caught up in the game of just getting more and more. They have billions. Like if you have billions of dollars, even if you try hard to spend it all, there's no way you could spend it in your lifetime, right? So it's just crazy. Yeah, and it becomes like a substitute for power or enlightenment or something, which is not a bad thing. That's the thing. It's not to demonize it, but just to be conscious of it. I remember, Osho, the spiritual guy,
Yeah, the tantric guru
yeah,
dude.
who bought lots of Rolls Royces just to prove a point that you can be enlightened and also be filthy rich. He's just a provocation on his part, but he just shows that I'm a tantric guru, but I'm gonna buy Rolls Royces. Why not? I think that should be
Did
the
you?
attitude towards money. It's just like no shame in having lots of it, but there's no shame in not having it as well. But it's just
Yeah, true.
it's like energy, right? Like if you're into physics, like you don't hate the electron. You don't you don't get mad at gravity. It's just a force. You just have to work with it. It's a force.
Did you feel when you wanted to get the property,
Hmm.
was it something that you had desire around, or was it something that you just felt like you had to do? Because I know that
Well,
you're a person who's really in touch with their desire and lets that lead your decisions. And was
it
that an
hasn't
aspect
always
of
been. It hasn't been always that way actually. So it's just in the past 2 to 3 years that I really worked on this, and I'm still working on it. Prior to that, I was so foggy with my desires as well. And I think looking back, I think what happened there was I had this, the thing that what most men think that in order to get the right girl, I have to tick tick tick. I have to have a stable job. I have to have an apartment. I have to have short hair, shave. All these boxes.
have short
boxes.
hair?
You know what I mean? Like we have clean cut, behave well, don't swear, and then and then and then I saw, well, I did everything that was supposed to be done, and I wasn't meeting anyone interesting. And I know I have a friend who's also, it's like the if he were just ticking boxes, he would be like the perfect husband to have, but then he's still single. And then I see really bad men from the point of society, really unstable men, and they're having like 3 wives. So I was thinking, there's something wrong with this paradigm.
That's probably that could be a topic for another book, actually.
Yeah, no. That's when I started. Hang on, there's something not right here. I did what was supposed to be done, and it's not working for me. So
Oh,
yeah, and that's how it started my whole journey into really, really into sexuality and all that. And yeah. So it was like a proxy, I think, at that time, if I
okay.
look back at it.
I see. Okay.
And I think that's what I only want to highlight. And I think you've discussed most of the things I wanted to discuss.
All right.
And I'm really looking forward to the second chapter on body. I think
I
it's really
cannot
interesting.
wait to talk to you
Yeah,
about the body check-in.
yeah, body check-ins. And yeah, because I know we both practice orgasmic meditation and we always check in. And it's always a check
Yep.
in, how are you feeling? And I think that would be nice to do the check in thing in terms
Yeah.
of money. Yeah.
This is like right up our alley.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
That was everything. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about this. So, but those were all my notes.
Awesome. So, folks, subscribers, thank you for tuning in and joining us on this journey. And I hope you're getting something out of it. And I do hope you actually have the book and are following with us. And if you are, please comment in any of our social media or the comments below. And please share to people who you think might benefit from this. And if you just happen to get this episode by accident or through serendipity, please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the bottom below so that you know when next week when Janice and I discusses the body checkings, you'll know when the video's out.
Yeah.
So Janice, this is awesome as usual, and see you next week.
Yep. See you next week. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.